Hey guys, it's Tom. So I wanted to do something different for this video. As some of you guys may know, in addition to movies, I'm also a big music collector. So I wanted to switch things up a little bit. Also, this is probably going to be the first time I ever use the editing software in YouTube. So if I mess up, I apologize. I'm still new to this. But also, this was something that came out a few months ago, and I haven't seen anybody online talk about this. Which I find kind of a little bit unusual, so I figured I would be the first to do it. And what I'm talking about, if you haven't read the title or description, I'm talking about the newest installment of Bob Dylan's Bootleg Series. This is volume 12, and this is called The Cutting Edge. This is the 2 CD standard edition called The Best of The Cutting Edge. There is also this released on 3 LP vinyl. And there's also a 6-disc deluxe edition, and there's an 18-disc collector's edition, which is only sold through Bob Dylan's website. So what the cutting edge basically, it says here on the sticker here, it says two CD set featuring the best of Bob Dylan's unreleased studio recordings from 1965 and 1966. Includes songs from the sessions for Bringing It All Back Home, Highway 61 Revisited, and Blonde on Blonde. Now, like I said, this is the 2 CD version, so this contains the best of those editions. The 6 CD box set contains even more, and then the 18 box set includes everything that Dylan recorded in the studio in 1965 and 66. Of course, I didn't go for the 18-disc version because it cost like $500, and it was only sold through Bob Dylan's website, and I figured I love Dylan, but I can't listen to 18 CDs, and so I would have really liked to have gotten the 6 CD version, but that was going for $100, and this best of 2 CD was only going for less than $20. And so I thought, well, if it's 2 CDs and it's going for $20, then 6 CDs should go for $60. It wasn't. It was going for $100. And I simply shrugged my shoulders and I said, I'm sorry, Bob, I'm not going to give you $100 for 6 CDs when I can get, you know, the best of the best for significantly less, for less than $20. So, and plus the 6 CD version is digital on iTunes, as is this. And the 6 CD set, that's also not complete, and I figured, well, if I want to spend that money, I want to get it complete. So I just talked myself into buying the best of, and truth be told, I'm perfectly happy with this. Because as much as it would have been nice, I guess, to listen to almost everything, at the end of the day, I care about complete songs, and this has almost all of them. There are a couple of songs that are on the 6 CD version that are not on this version. Like songs like It's All Over Now, Baby Blue, Bout of a Thin Man from a Buick 6, It's Alright Mom, Only Bleeding. There aren't a lot of takes of those songs because you do some research, you find out that Bob accomplished those tracks very quickly. Here it lists the take for which song, so you kind of know that he worked on it for quite some time. And a couple of alternate versions of these songs had appeared on, excuse me for a second, had appeared on other bootlegs. Some appeared on the first set, 1 through 3. And some also appeared on Volume 7, the soundtrack to Bringing It All Back Home. No, I'm sorry, No Direction Home. But these takes that appear on The Best of the Cutting Edge are different, with one exception, that appear on both of those sets. So I'll show off the design, and I'll show you the contents, and then I'll talk about some of the songs. So here's the front, spine. And there's the track listing on the back. And on the inside, of course, with every 2 CD bootleg set, there's the really nice thick booklet, and then there are the CDs. You know, very similar to, like in No Direction Home, the packaging is very similar. The booklet in here is kind of thick, so it doesn't exactly slide out. You have to kind of force it out of there. Okay, I'll put the cardboard case aside. So inside you get the booklet and the CDs. I'll show off the CDs first. Again, track listing on the back. Open it up. There's CD number 1. And there is CD number 2. Interesting that it folds out this way. Usually in past series it's folded out, say from here, but not this time. So those are your 2 discs. The paper insert is very basic. 2 photos of Bob. And then on the inside are pictures of all sorts of session tapes, where you can kind of see some running orders that he had planned, and pictures of the tapes that the songs came from. Has the musicians on it, the recording dates, all that stuff. So that's what's in the CDs. We'll get to the booklet. This is a 60-page booklet, really nicely done. The booklet that comes with the 6 CD version, from what I've seen, the only thing that's different is at the back here, and I will flip through this in a second, is that at the back here, obviously they list more songs. So there's some spot varnishing on the front. This photo is an outtake photo that they used for the mono set a few years ago. Okay. So I have had a chance to listen to all of the songs, and I will give you my impressions on them. And also, the booklet is a really nice read. It goes through some of the history going through these albums. The lighting in here may not be perfect. And a lot of photos in here, obviously. And also some tidbits about some of the songs, like things to listen for. Stuff like it tells you the different takes of Tombstone Blues, what's different in each take. Only one take is used on this 2 CD version, which I'm fine with. As I said, at the end of the day, I care about the completed takes because I want to hear what's different. As nice as it might be to hear the breakdowns and false starts, at the end of the day, I want to hear the song from top to bottom as close as it can. Sorry if the booklet is making these sort of sticky sounds. I accidentally put some gum on it at some point and tried my best to clean it off. So some handwritten lyrics. I believe it's for I Want You. Yep. And some tracks that appear on the 6 CD set, not on this, are a couple of other songs. Like there's an instrumental which had previously been bootlegged under the name Number 1. And also the songs I Want to Be Your Lover, which Dylan never released himself on any album, I should say. And a couple of Blonde on Blonde songs, like Rainy Day Women number 12 and 35 was accomplished in one take. But you get the full rehearsal and take on the 6 CD set. and also some songs like Fourth Time Around, Temporary like Achilles, obviously Five Believers, and Sad-Eyed Lady of the Lowlands. Those don't appear on here. They don't sound that much different, which is probably why. The Blonde on Blonde outtakes that are on this 2 CD set do sound a bit different than their released versions. Like I said, I'll go through every song very quickly because I believe there are 36 tracks on the 2 CD set, so I don't want to spend too much time on each one. There's also some nice tidbits in the booklet, like the story behind the greatest hits photograph. What's her name? Angeline Butler, who sang backup on the song If You Gotta Go, Go Now. There's a little piece. And then here we get all the credits. It tells you what song title, which take number, who plays on it, when it was recorded, who it was produced by. And all the tracks on here are not officially released except for I'll Keep It With Mine, which is on CD number 1. That had previously appeared on the Biograph box set, and Farewell Angelino, which had appeared on the first series, 1 through 4. So why those are included and not, unreleased versions of songs that appear on the 6 CD version, I'm not quite sure. But if you haven't heard them, then you can listen to them. Okay, so that's the CD and that's the booklet. Now again, putting it in the case might be a little bit tricky because the booklet is really thick. So what I do is I put the CD in slightly, put the booklet in next, and then just kind of go from there. Okay, so those are all the contents of the 2 CD set. Now I'll just run you through I'll run through all the songs, just a couple of quick points. Some of them don't sound that much different than the released versions. You know what, actually I'm going to get the booklet out for this. That way I can, there we go. Because some songs that appear on the released album are done as a band, but appear acoustically on this. And some songs that appear acoustically on the album appear as a band on this. So disc 1 opens with Love Minus Zero, No Limit, Take 2. It's a band on the album. Here it's just Bob Dylan and John Sebastian on bass. So it's acoustic. It's nice. It pretty much sounds like if Bob were to perform the song live in his acoustic set in a studio. I'll Keep It With Mine, Take 1. This had appeared on the Biograph box set, but here you get some studio chatter before the song starts. And one thing about some of the songs is that Dylan will call them by different names. For instance, when he's telling the producer, Tom Wilson, the name of the song, he calls it Bank Account Blues. Track number 3 is Bob Dylan's 115th Dream. Now this is take 2, but this is actually takes 1 and 2. If you guys know that song on Bringing It All Back Home, the release version opens with Dylan acoustically, breaks down and laughs, and producer Tom Wilson announces take 2, and then Dylan does it as a band. On this version, the take 1 is still acoustic, but he breaks down and laughs, and he says take 2, and it continues with Bob Dylan solo acoustic with a harmonica, so no band. But that essentially sounds like what the album version would have sounded like had Dylan not had a band on it. She Belongs to Me, take 1. This is strictly acoustic. It's a band version, sort of folk rock band version on the album. Here it's just Bob, acoustic, very nice to hear. Subterranean Homesick Blues, take 1. This is an alternate take with the band. It doesn't sound that much different from the release version. Dylan does kind of forget some lyrics at some point, and he's still trying to work some in. With a lot of these alternate versions, you can tell that Dylan is still trying to fit in words, or maybe he kind of rewrites the song the more he works on it. I'll get into some new stuff later. Outlaw Blues Take 2. It's a nice almost shuffle, no drums on it. Not that much different from the album version, but still nice to hear. On the Road Again, Take 4. The piano is very high up in the mix. It does sound a little too similar to the released version, but you can definitely feel that it's not quite polished yet, but it is still there. There's a foundation. They're working their way there. Farewell Angelina, Take 1. Now this had been released on the series 1 through 3, the first set, and there is no difference. It sounds like they just took it straight from here and put it on here, which I'm not sure why they would do that, because you kind of feel like you're double dipping. But it's a nice song, but maybe we could have had that replaced with It's Alright Ma, Take 1, which appears on the 6 CD box set, although that one does break down. Next is If You Gotta Go Now, Go Now, Take 2, which is different than the version that also appeared on volume 1 through 3. Nice to hear. I believe this version was overdubbed and then accidentally released as a single. You don't have to do that, Take 1. It sounds like there was only one take accomplished of this. It's a short 50-second song with just Bob on acoustic. It sounds like a song fragment that didn't really go anywhere, and he kind of breaks down afterward and says, I want to go try it on the piano, which was he probably did on the next song, California. Well, I said it because it says here they recorded on the same day, and at the end of You Don't Have to Do That, you hear Bob say, I want to go switch on piano. So he probably straight up did California next, which is also the next track. California, piano bluesy song. This had been released on a soundtrack to the show NCIS, but for those who hadn't heard it like myself, it's nice that they included it on here. It's more complete than You Don't Have to Do That. It sounds like it could have been a song had he worked on it, but it didn't sound like it got any, it didn't sound like it got beyond just the simple piano version that's on here. Mr. Tambourine Man, Take 3, with a band. This is with guitar, extra guitar, and drums, which is really interesting because the released version, since there are no drums, makes it more simple, a little bit more beautiful. Here it sounds like a band, sort of like if the Byrds didn't do their own arrangement and stuck to Dylan's band version. It's incomplete because Dylan, I think, gets about 2 minutes in and says the drums are driving me mad. So you might wonder, it's incomplete, why isn't it on here? Well, Mr. Tambourine Man's a famous song, so, and plus to hear it as a band version is really cool. It Takes a Lot to Laugh, It Takes a Train to Cry, Take 8. Now this is the famous fast version. So here he's trying it at a fast tempo with some lyrics that didn't make it into the final version. And of course the final version was like a slow bluesy number. Here it's more of a fast blues. He had released takes like this before, like on volume 7, but this is a different take. And it's take 8, so you can tell he really spent some time on the fast version before straight up abandoning it, which is one of the things I've really enjoyed listening to this set, is hearing a song that he completely changes for the final released version, and you have to wonder what was going through his head when he first wrote the song. Like a Rolling Stone, Take 5. This is a rehearsal. Now on the first bootleg set, I don't know why I keep showing them. You guys know what they look like. There's a rehearsal of this in 3/4 time with just Bob and the piano. Here it's done as a whole band. It's about 1.5 minutes. Doesn't get past the first chorus. Still in that 3/4 time. So I guess they're rehearsing the song in that time. And then the next day when Bob would record it, he would change it to 4/4 time and change the arrangement entirely. But it is really interesting to hear, Dylan's most famous song done in 3/4 time. Then track 15 is Like a Rolling Stone, Take 11. On the 6-disc set, there is an entire disc dedicated to all of the session for Like a Rolling Stone. The released version was take 4. This is take 11. It's a little bit faster and it kind of sounds a little sillier. Take 4 was at a nice, comfortable pace. Here it's a little bit faster. He's trying to get the words out, and it doesn't have that magic that the original had. But it's an alternate take, so it's really interesting to hear how he kept working on it even after he had quote-unquote finished it, and then went back and realized that was probably the best version. Sitting on a Barbed Wire Fence, take 2. Now this was a song that Dylan never released on any album. This is interesting to hear because it has some lyrics that would pop up on Just Like Tom Thumb's Blues, which he did release. And of course this is different than the take that appears on the first set. Medicine Sunday, take 1. This is an early version of Temporary Like Achilles, and it even tells you. It doesn't get past the first chorus before it kind of breaks down and goes nowhere, so you can kind of tell that he worked on it but maybe didn't have it quite polished, so maybe it wasn't ready to record entirely. They did one take and it sounds like it didn't get beyond that, and then he would revisit that song later and then complete it for Blonde on Blonde. Track 18 is Desolation Road, take 2. It's a piano demo. It's essentially what it is. It's the first verse and first chorus done on piano, kind of demonstrating how the song goes. And then track 19 is the longest song out of the entire set, and it's Desolation Road, take 1. Now this is different than the take 1 that appears on Volume 7. That take 1 was an early version of the song. This is take 1 of the released version. If you guys have heard those versions, you know what I mean. This is Bob on acoustic guitar, no guitar overdubs or no additional guitar part like there was on the album. Some lyrics he's still playing around with, like the boiled guts of birds line, which did not appear on the final version. So like I said, there are a couple songs on here where you kind of feel that he is sort of rewriting bits of the songs as he's working on them, maybe realizing that maybe in a previous take he didn't like that line, so he changes it to something else, which is always interesting to hear. It shows how dedicated he was to his songs. So that's all of Disc 1. Now, on Disc 2, before I get into Disc 2, there are a couple of sequencing, not problems, but for example, it's not entirely in sequence. Up until Medicine Sunday, track 17, it's all in sequential order. But the track 16, Sitting on a Barbed Wire Fence, is from June. Medicine Sunday is from October, and then we jump back to August for track 18. They probably just put that on there just to fit it in somewhere. So it is slightly out of chronological order because Disc 2 picks up in July. So Disc 2, we have Tombstone Blues, take 1. This is what I was referring to earlier. Dylan's kind of playing around with the chorus. Like he says, Mama's in the factory, she's lighting the fuse. Daddy's in the alley, he ain't got no shoes. Which he kind of plays around with in every chorus. And then, of course, in the release version, he got it, quote-unquote, right. And also, the tempo is almost like a Bo Diddley beat. It's a little bit, doesn't have that driving force that the album version has. It's a little bit more funky, I suppose. Track 2 is Positively 4th Street, take 5. Not too far from the released version. You can definitely feel they're working towards it. It's not quite polished. It doesn't have the do riff that runs throughout it. But it is quite similar, but not quite polished. Can You Please Crawl Out Your Window, take 1. Now this is a different musical arrangement than the released version. It doesn't have the cymbal, hi-hat sound. This sounds like a straight up, like if it had appeared on Highway 61 Revisited as a straightforward 4/4 song with none of that breaking down and the hi-hat cymbal that appears on the released version. So interesting to hear, had it been done as a full song, if you guys know what I mean. Take 4 is Just Like Tom Thumb's Blues, take 3. It also says this is a rehearsal. It doesn't have the dun 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 riff. It's a little bit slower. But other than that, that riff doesn't sound too different. but it's not. It's definitely not polished. Take 5 is Highway 61 Revisited Take 3, which essentially sounds like the album version, but it's missing the famous slide whistle, which he got in Take 7. This is Take 3. So it pretty much sounded like he had the song almost complete by the time they got to work on it in the studio, except for the slide whistle. Take 6 is Queen Jane Approximately. Take 5. Now this really doesn't sound that different from the release version. Queen Jane's never been one of my favorite Dylan songs, so I can't really comment too much, but from what I've heard, it doesn't sound that much different. It's in that category of it's not too different, but it's not polished either. Track 7, Visions of Johanna, Take 5. It says this is also rehearsal. This is much different than the slow acoustic version. This is fast, almost a country tune. This has the band on it. You know, the band, Robbie Robson, Garth Hudson. So he was using them in the studio at this point. So it's very fast, very different from the release version. So extremely nice to hear. Doesn't quite have that charm because it doesn't sound as beautiful as the release version, but interesting to hear, almost like a revelation. Take 8 is She's Your Lover Now. Take 6, it says this is a rehearsal. Now, this song was never on any album. It appeared on the first bootleg set. This is a different take, or it's a rehearsal. And now we're into 1966. This one I can't comment on if it's different because it was a song that he never released, so it's just a different version of it. Take 9 is Lunatic Princess. Take 1. This is a minute and a half of a song that Dylan never released, and it doesn't sound like it turned into anything. In fact, at the end it breaks down and he says, "I'm scared." He's scared of what exactly, I'm not quite sure. But it's always nice to hear unreleased songs that never got past a minute and a half. Track 10 is Leopard-Skin Pillbox Hat, Take 8. Now this is a bit unusual. It opens with some car horns and bicycle bells, and then after each chorus there's this almost annoying organ or car honk, I don't know what you would call it, and the tempo is very fast here, not bluesy, almost like a shuffle, more funky. You almost have to wonder if he was taking himself seriously on this take, because it doesn't sound anywhere near the really nice slow blues version on Volume 7, and nowhere near the blues shuffle that was on the album. So this one's probably the weirdest of all of them. Track 11 is One of Us Must Know Sooner or Later, Take 19. Now this, again, has never been one of my favorite Dylan songs, but from what I noticed, it doesn't sound that much different, but not quite polished. It's in that category. Track 12 is Stuck Inside a Mobile with the Memphis Blues again, Take 13. It's still in that slow tempo that he used on Volume 7. The main difference here is on Volume 7, after each chorus, it ends, I believe, with organ or piano. This one ends with a guitar riff, which didn't make it into the final version. So you can kind of tell from Volume 7 to this volume, he's still working in that kind of slow version, and then he would rewrite it completely, do a different arrangement for the final version, which is always interesting to hear. Track 13 is absolutely Sweet Marie, Take 1, although Bob announces it as Where Are You Tonight, Sweet Marie. Probably hadn't titled it yet, or probably hadn't given it this title yet. Doesn't sound that much different. In fact, you pretty much could fool someone into thinking it's the release version. It is slightly not polished, but it doesn't sound like it got through that much of a change. Track 14 is Just Like a Woman, Take 4. Definitely not the pretty version that was released. This is faster, which is interesting. Again, doesn't have that charm, but it's always interesting to hear. Take 15 is Pledging My Time, Take 1. Now that version was also a bit more of a shuffle. This is a bit different tempo. Then track 16 is I Want You, Take 4. This sounds almost identical to the release version, except the riff, dun, 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 dun. Here it sounds like it's played on piano or organ. On the release version, Bob would play it on a harmonica. so it doesn't quite have that drive that the released version does. And then the whole set ends with Highway 61 Revisited Take 7. Now this is interesting, attaching a bit of this at the end of the disc. It's only 30 seconds long. This is the first take that Dylan used the slide whistle on, and you can tell after he used it for the first time, he cracks it up and thinks it's the funniest thing. And of course he would use that on the release version. So it's a nice little Easter egg at the end, so it doesn't bother me. So those are all the tracks that are on this set. Now, if I sounded a little bit harsh, you know, saying, oh, it doesn't sound, you know, that much different than the released version, you know, that doesn't mean that they're not interesting to listen to. So if you're a Dylan fan, I would highly recommend you get this package. If I can, there we go. If you don't care about listening to 6 CDs of breakdowns and you only want the complete stuff, then definitely get the 2 CD set. It's at a really good price. I got mine for under 20 bucks at Walmart. Beautiful packaging. The booklet is extremely thick. If you're one of those people who, you know, you want the big deluxe edition because you want the big book, the book in here is pretty big unto itself. It's 60 pages, tons of information, which is no exception. Every bootleg series does have a very thick book anyway. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. I was surprised I didn't see anybody on YouTube talk about this, and this came out on November 6th, and all people were showing were just some of the contents of the 6 CD version. I was surprised no one talked about this, but I hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, then be sure to like this video. Leave a comment down below. Let me know if you are interested in buying this set, and if you have bought it, what do you think of it? What are some of your favorite songs? And subscribe to my channel for more videos. So guys, once again, I hope you enjoyed this. In my last video, I talked about how I wanted to not edit on my computer and try editing on YouTube. So if it seems a bit rough, I apologize. But I hope you guys are having an awesome day, and I hope you enjoyed this video. So I'll see you guys soon in my next video. Thanks for watching. I'm Tom Marutia.